volumes. If you had to pick one encounter with Bigfoot that was, let's say, the most violent encounter?
Well, there's quite a few of them. And one of the most creepy ones, uh, I had named Washington Missing Person. These guys were working together, as I recall, in the restaurant business in Portland. And one or two of them, now, really the details don't matter, Rich, as far as me recollecting, but there was one or two of these guys that were into quads.
Mhm.
And the one guy had a truck and a trailer, and they might have even had two trailers and a number of quads. And they went out into the woods for a weekend, planned to camp out, drink beer, quad around, doing the guy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently they all had gotten boozed up one night, and they woke up the following morning, and some of the logs had been pulled out of the fire. I'm pretty sure that's the way it happened. Some of the logs had been pulled out of the fire. And there was a little accusing going back and forth about who did it to goof on us. Oh, you did it, Richard. You pulled them out to make us think like. And everybody was like, hey, man, I had nothing to do with it. I have no idea how these logs got out of the fire. The second night, the same scenario panned out. The end of the day, the fire going, drinking beer. And the one guy recalled being the last one to enter into the tent, that the one compadre had passed out on a quad drunk. So everybody else was in their tents. He was the last one to see this guy who was asleep on the quad, and he just left him there. Well, in the morning, the dude on the quad was gone. And they wound up having a search go on over there. Cops. The guy wasn't found. And he told me that in the springtime, they were playing some type of soft. Well, let me backtrack for a second. They said, somebody had said to him, was he wearing gloves? And they said, yeah, he had leather riding gloves. And in the springtime, they were playing some type of softball league where different groups, paid to get in, your team, my team. And on one of the teams, he recognized one of the cops as being a ball player. And he went over to him and had a conversation about who he was. And, we were there that day or those days. And he said, so what do you think happened there? And he said that they found one glove with a finger still in it.
Whoa.
One finger. He was like, what the? He's like, yeah. He says, well, what do you think happened? He said, between you and me, we think the hairy man got him.
The hairy man.
Yeah. The hairy man got him. So, and when you think about these things, first of all, just think about your finger in a glove. However tightly or loosely this glove fits, it really doesn't matter. Something had grabbed or gotten a hold of him, or we don't know if it was dead upon impact, like the hog getting its head torn off, or if he put up some type of struggle and this thing just went, wow, yanked his, finger off in the process. But just think about what it would take for you or me to pull your finger off.
Wow.
I'm not even sure I could do it.
No, No.
I wouldn't want to experiment to see what it would take, but it would have to be done quickly for it to even happen at all.
Yeah, if it was a bear, they would gnaw on it, they would chew it. It would be the whole glove would be, yeah, it
Oh, and
doesn't.
there'd be damage, there'd be blood,
Yeah.
there'd be crap all over the place if a bear attacked you.
Do you get law enforcement contacting you and saying, don't use my name, but strictly off the record, we know this is going on. We know the big hairy man is out there, and there are many instances where we suspect a Sasquatch killed, ate
Yeah,
a
well,
hiker.
I have a couple of encounters that policemen had, and it brings me back to the Whitehall incident. Do you recall that one from Whitehall, New York? That particular officer was very outspoken for many years about what had happened, and his partner wouldn't even talk about it. But I have the encounter that I called Highway Patrol, where this fellow, he wouldn't even tell me what state he came from, but I think he was from New Hampshire. And I'm going to tell you why. I know he was from the Northeast. And he was parked with his squad car at night doing radar, parked next to a rock wall. And I've been up to New Hampshire many times, and they don't call it the Granite State for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You go around up there, and there's granite everywhere. And they just blew these holes through the mountains to make the roads and stuff up there. There's all kinds of jagged granite rocks jutting out all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
He was next to he started out the night sitting at a stop sign where he liked to give out some easy tickets. Then he would move into his highway patrol duties later on, just looking to catch speeders. He had parked next to this wall and got out of his car to take a piss behind the car in the dark. Nobody could see him. He could see anything coming from the one direction, and to his left-hand side was this rock wall.
Right.
So nobody was going to see him out there. He wasn't risking anything. As he's taking care of business, he sees some lights coming, and he hears somebody laying on the horn. When this car goes by, he's still finishing up, and as he's turning around, something comes around the edge of the rock face. Now his car's backed in, his lights are out, and this figure is coming out from behind the wall, a freaking monster.
Mm-hmm.
He turns around, pulls his flashlight off of his belt and his gun, pointing both of them at this thing now, and it flexes at him and like that. He was going to pull the trigger, but didn't, because, you're a cop, you pull a trigger, you got to answer for the bullet,
Yeah.
This thing looks at him, turns around, leaps across the road, and disappears up into the trees.
Holy smokes.
Now, when he told the desk sergeant what had happened, and he consequently became like a laughing stock there. He took it personal too, like, he wasn't expecting that from his coworkers, and he wound up retiring after that. But there are a number of people who have called police to their property relative to reported Bigfoot activities or tracks being found or damage being done, who had local officers tell them, really in no uncertain terms, that you're not alone. Other people have reported such findings as yours. Now, would they repeat that to the local news bureau? Probably not. But in private conversations, mano a mano, we talk about it a little bit and then we leave it alone. And that's typically the way it happens.